Hey guys, happy Monday. Filming this on Sunday night. Chris here with my new dog, Hondo. He's 4 months old. And Hondo and I are still getting acclimated to each other, learning each other's ways, our rhythms, our routines, all of that. But Hondo, at least once a day, he does something that triggers me, and that could be, picking something up off the ground, eating something he shouldn't. It could be not listening, not coming back to me. It could be being a crazy dog all over me while I'm trying to film a video. It is his bedtime, but this is also part of his routine. Is he gets a little snuggle time with Dad before he goes to bed. Just something I've built into the routine, kind of help him with his off switch, if you will. But there's something I want to talk about today. I said there's some things he does that trigger me, and I have to be aware of those, because what can happen really easily is I can let those things trigger me, and then from those triggers, it sends me into a tailspin, or it sends me into into a mode where I would either use choice words, or I might act, I'm not going to say unkindly to him, but he doesn't deserve whatever he's getting from me as far as a consequence, or just, if he's been disobedient or whatever. I'm trying to use positive reinforcement. I won't get into dog training, but where I'm going with this is I think it's really important for us to be aware of our triggers. The things in life that, sure, you could have a one-time episode of something or someone that triggers you in a wrong way, and maybe looking back you react in such a way where you're like, maybe I shouldn't have said that, maybe I shouldn't have done that, maybe I shouldn't have responded in that way. I'm talking more so about the things, being aware of the things that really trigger you in such a way that being aware of the things that really trigger you on a quarterly basis, on a yearly basis, things that keep coming to the surface for you. And again, that could be a relationship with a coworker that just, for whatever reason, you guys really butt heads. That could be the trigger of what you eat. You just know that if you have one candy bar, you're not going to be able to stop. You're going to eat 6 of them. It could be the trigger of you didn't, well, I'll just share with one with you guys. One of my triggers is finances, and not in such a healthy way, even though, I'm an investor. I would say my childhood and some of my upbringing, financials were a really hard topic around the house. And whenever, my parents would talk about money, it wasn't pleasant to be around, to be honest. It was, I could tell both were trying hard, but the conversations that took place around money were typically difficult to listen to, say nonetheless. And so one of my triggers is whenever, sometimes if I'm blindsided or I'm caught off guard with a financial conversation, or on my own finances, or like with my wife, it can trigger me, and I just totally zone out. Just go to a place of sadness, a place of frustration, sadness of uncertainty, a place of anxiety. And even today, I had that conversation with my wife, or she had that conversation with me. It just kind of came up, and I wasn't really expecting it. And I recognized that I had been triggered, and it's kind of like everything else was tainted for about 5 or 10 minutes. Like, just whether it was talking about a vacation that we were trying to plan, or here we are trapped, kind of in the Texas snowstorm. Kids are out playing, but it's just like everything felt a little tainted. But I had been triggered, right? And so I want to share that small victory, though, took place today. Was I had the opportunity where I could have just gone into that dark hole of a space for the rest of the afternoon or into tomorrow. But, about 10 minutes later, we kind of revisited the conversation just briefly. And I apologized to her for kind of how I responded, but also, commended her because she was really, she was doing a great thing. She was looking at our finances, and we were trying to align on just a kind of touch base on our financials. And I was aware that after about 10 minutes, I was like, oh my gosh, this is triggering me. And what's interesting about being triggered is if you know what your trigger is, if you know the thing or the things that trigger you, you can get ahead of them. You're not going to know you're not going to know the time and place when something's going to trigger you, but you can be aware that it is a trigger. And even for Hondo here, I am aware now that whenever I let him off of his leash at the park, and he decides to run away, and I get furious at him, that is a trigger, and I did it. I triggered myself. He's a dog, he's still learning. He's only 4 months old. But you can be aware that when that thing happens, when that time comes, it is going to trigger you. And you can, in my opinion, you can decide ahead of time, if you make the conscious choice and have a pep talk with yourself, you can choose how you're going to respond in that moment ahead of time. And I really do believe that it can help you when that moment comes to fruition. So with that, I think I wanted to share that with you guys for this Monday, just because I know, we all know that, if you spend any time here on YouTube, social media, things are hot right now. People can get triggered very easily. And so I would say I am and I'm not talking about just recent events, things that have been happening. But I also mean just your daily routine, your life, no matter what your political affiliation is, no matter what your religious affiliation is. The reality is life is difficult. We are all triggered in different ways by someone or something or some sort of circumstance. And while yet we cannot always, again, prevent that trigger from happening, we can choose how to respond. And I think playing some of those scenarios out in our head ahead of time can be really helpful. And so I would really encourage you guys to maybe make a short list. What or who are the top 3, 5 things within the past year that have really triggered you or continue to trigger you? And then what will you What will you do when that moment occurs here in the future? And so, with that, I hope you find that helpful on this Man Talk Monday. I hope Hondo here wasn't too much of a distraction for you, but he was the precipice for this video. So with that, I hope you guys have a fantastic Monday. So for me and Hondo, we will see you later.